I had an amazing series of dreams this morning, which really only made sense after I watched a video by Rhonda Empson in which she'd had a dream about a plane. And I remembered a dream that I had about a plane years ago. So when I was underneath the carriage of the plane and saw it coming down and it was going to crash, and there were newsreaders there and other things in that dream. So I went looking for it because of what's happening in the world with the hurricanes and the threat of World War III at the moment. So I went looking for that dream. I had a feeling it was around the time of Hurricane Katrina or something like that. So I went to my dream diary of 2004. And although I didn't find the dream I was looking for, I opened exactly to another one of a dream which was very similar. And so I realized the Lord was speaking to me. And I had it on the October 21st, 2004. And I'll read it to you because now it makes a lot more sense. I saw a plane from underneath. I was on the ground, looking up at its undercarriage. I could see it was all green with moss, and then it came down closer to the earth and closer, and then it just dropped on the ground with a crash. I exclaimed, "Oh my God, oh my God," and I looked for the other people to do something, but nothing could be done. Then it became apparent by a screen on which the shape of this plane had been displayed that it was in fact the Roman Catholic Church. And after it had crashed, the screen changed, and I could see that it was going to reveal the Lord. So I looked towards it, waiting to see him. The screen was changing and moving, and then I began to feel myself being laid down almost, and swept through the atmosphere. At first it was slow. I was on my back and being drawn towards something through amazing landscapes of lights and mountain ranges. It was incredible, and I thought, it's happening, it's really happening. I'm being raptured, and I couldn't wait to see the Lord. When my journey finally ended, though, I was at a family's house, which was all opened and old and quaint, and the children were children, but also old and quaint. I asked if their parents were home, and they said, of course, as if it was preposterous to think otherwise. Then a couple of people came in, very unusual looking, and looking far too old to be these children's parents. But their age did not show in wrinkles. They did not look old in the way that we do, but they had a different way, a different, slightly funny look, like older children, and you could tell they were of higher intelligence. But everything practical, like furniture, was strewn about the place in disarray and unusable, but it didn't matter. They were not concerned about this, they were not very concerned about this visitor, and asked if I had had an accident. I tried to say no, but I did not say much about what I had just experienced. I just wanted to keep thinking about it and reliving it, so I tried to keep it to myself, although I wanted to tell them. It was as if I told them I might break the spell. Then visitors arrived. They were neighbours, and they were going to celebrate something together, and there were two women who had had something done to their car, and they were angry, but not in the normal way. They had different ways of settling things. It was time for me to go. Then it was time for me to leave, and I lay back down again and found I could travel through space by my own volition now, but it was not as intense or as exciting as the first time. Flying through the stratosphere on my back, so I had no way of knowing where I was going or of steering myself, but after the first experience I was then able to do it at will. Okay, so that's just a note that I've written. There's a jet going over, unfortunately. Okay, so I didn't realise, well I did, I believed that that was a heaven dream even way back then. But there was another dream that I also had of the same night, and I think that this one also really relates to the time that we're in, and I fear, you know, that we are at the end of time. So I'll read the dreams that I had last night. They were, I had taken all the wine carboys out of, oh, I don't know, hang on. You know, these ones won't make that much sense to you, but it's enough to know that it makes sense to me. And the important ones that I have here today were, I believed, oh, it's sort of strange, this one. There were two flatmates. There was one, Joey, of Friends, was in mid-speech. When I asked him if he would like me to sit somewhere else, he was so relieved, as he and the others had been performing their play and having to address like everybody, you know, who were all seated around the different edges of the room. So I interrupted it, but it didn't get resumed away again, you know, but he was really relieved that I had done that. So, and then there was two of the flatmates, I think this was also Joey off the Friends program as well, wanted to lie in my bed, and I despaired of them ever having their own girlfriends if they remained infatuated with me. There was nothing sexual going on, I was just like a mother to them, but Dennis, who's my husband, was missing out, and now it was his time. But when I went to him, he said it was too late, it was nearly 6 o'clock and time for the news. So also I remember strongly ordering someone out of my house. There was a tour of gardens and an art gallery where Paul Johnson, my ex-art tutor, used to be in charge. So and I remember seeing a sign, it was like an anagram, and it was of sort of numbers, but they represented Vav Vav Vav, which is Hebrew for 6, the number 6, and it also means, here, Vav is a nail. You know, Jesus was the nail joined to us, joined to him in a holy place, so it's a sign of a wedding. But of course, as we know, 666 also means the time of the Antichrist, which is what we are sort of waiting for. And I knew what I knew that when I saw it was that it meant World War III. So I think that's all. Oh, there was another one of my pigs also. So anyway, really a little bit gross. But anyway, so there was also another dream on the 20th of October, which 2004, which I believe now is going to relate to this time, and we will soon see. And that I was being close to where John was, seeing his place from outside. John was an old love of mine, so he symbolises, and the name John also means gift from God, so he symbolises God. Okay, so I'm looking at the gates, so that could represent the pearly gates. Looking at the gates and then pointing out his place to someone else who doubted it was his place. Well, that's what I've been doing, trying so hard to point out God's place to the world. But I was able to prove that it was. Praise the Lord. 1 minute it was like a house, but then it was huge, like a factory. I can't really describe the dream, but it was like we were both walking around, not quite seeing each other. I, of course, wanted to see him, but at the same time I didn't. Mentions my son there. David was involved and was respectful of John and caring as though they had a relationship. He, John, was looking down from his high tower and seeing me and my attractive body shape. Somehow we were together, even though we were apart. And then something happened, and the whole world stopped. There was a lift which stopped in mid-air, and everyone was wondering what had happened, as there was something in the air which we were all worried about and trying to breathe too hard. Everything had just stopped in mid-air, it was as if something had come from his factory and ended the world as we knew it. Okay, well that's really symbolic now when I look at it, and praise the Lord, my son did give his heart to Jesus, so he does have a relationship with God, and but I think you know, anything, you know, you can you know, get the meaning from that dream even though it didn't relate to you. So I'm just praying that you will find Jesus, and also that my dreams, my videos will show you how he speaks to us, and that you will learn to try and get a relationship with him and listen to him. So maybe this is the time of the rapture. Things are getting close. Thanks for listening. Bye. I forgot to mention the reason that the 2004 dream was so significant to me, and that was because on the 27th of August this year I dreamt that I became pregnant, and I was 50 years old. So that I decided to look back and see what I was doing, what was happening when I was 50 years old, realizing that that was the conception of whatever was happening now. And so that is, I went back and found 2004, and that was what was happening. And so now we are at the time of birth, I believe. And also there were people featured, a woman called Sue Peacock, who I am now seeing at church after not, you know, having seen her for many years. So that's a way that I know that that the Lord is referring me to this time, that it's the pregnancy started in 2004, but now is about to the birth is about to occur.